Hey, family, I see you on the other side of that screen, and I want to take this time just to say thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your partnership and for subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you haven't done so, do so right now and share this with someone else. We try to make sure that we provide you not just announcements, but content and make sure you have the messages and the worship experiences so that if you're watching at home or you happen to work and want to watch it later or whatever, that you have what you need that's accessible to you. This year, our theme is Deep Dive. We're committed to discipleship, to making sure we have great impact, not just in the city, but abroad. Committed to making sure the vision sticks and that it's going and continue to grow, that we have empowerment, that everyone is empowered to do what it is that God has assigned for them to do. In this world, in this time, there are so many different things that are challenging all of us. I want you to know you're not alone. You're not by yourself. There are people praying for you. We're lifting you up, and you matter. You are more than a number. You are a name. God has you on his mind. I want to take this time to let you know that as your church family, we are praying for you and we are here for you. Now, a challenge to you, whatever you do, keep growing. Now let's go into the message.
A series for the last few weeks about vision, and it is to make sure you understand what type of church you are connected to. That's why we do this. Our theme for the year is taking a deep dive, and that dive is the acronym for discipleship, for impact, for vision, and for empowerment. So this part right here is about vision, so that you understand exactly what you're a part of, that you understand the method behind what we are and what we do. At our next service, we have people that are going to get baptized, so we're excited about Baptism Sunday this Sunday as well for those people who are not just connecting to the vision, but connecting to Christ. So on the screen, we're going to do some responsive reading, and you got one more week of this. I'm going to conclude this series next Sunday, but we understand that the vision describes our goals, and it helps us to understand our mission and why we pursue them. So go ahead and put our vision statement up there so we can all read this together. Let's go. We aim to lead and connect. That is our aim. We want to do that. We won't always do it, but we want to do that. Also, our mission is we exist to uplift communities and families. What that means is we want to do more than just be the church. Speaking of that, being the church in this building, we want to make sure we impact the community. Speaking of that, we want to also, however we can, not just through prayer, but be a blessing to those that have been impacted by the tornado in our state. And those, even though it passed us by, it didn't pass someone else by. So as long as it affects someone else, we're concerned about that. And that's what we want to be. Not just a church that prays, but we send aid, we send support to those different communities. All right, let's go to our core values that we have, which are growth, grace, and gather. You see those on everything, and that we want to explain what that means. Growth, let's go there to that screen. Growth means we're growing disciples. And let's read together. We believe in the freedom to discover purpose. Yes, and let's go to grace. Grace is about that we are guided by grace. That is what we want to push and have relationships with other people. Let's read that together. We are guided by grace, choosing relationship. We don't just listen and don't judge. We also make sure in community we're not judging. We want to be loving people more than judging people. And the last area is about gathering, which is about gathering the lost. Let's read that together. We gather the lost by creating. Someone say, welcome home, welcome home. We want everyone to be able to come here and know that you have a place to grow. Today, I want to talk from a core value of grace, that we are in a relationship with each other. And I want us to understand what grace is, because sometimes we have a limited view on exactly what that is. So I want to unpack that. John, the first chapter and verse 16. It says, out of his fullness we have all received grace in place of grace, already given. For the law was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. Verse 16 again, out of his fullness We have all received grace in place of grace already given. I want to talk today about the grace factor. We want to move from actions to access. Will you tell someone around you, I've got grace? And I want to unpack that because if you look at the New Testament, well, excuse me, if you look at the Old Testament in the beginning of Genesis, you'll find that we all started out okay. We all had fellowship with God, and we were walking in the cool of the day, and we had that type of communion, open communication with God, open fellowship, walking around naked and unashamed, not apologizing for who we were. And then curiosity killed us, where he told us to only eat of, we can eat of any tree, but of the tree of knowledge we shouldn't partake of. Now, some people, and I didn't get into this first service, some people want to say, well, was it an apple or orange or any of that? Well, you understand it says it was the tree of knowledge. It wasn't necessarily a mango, a banana, and all this stuff, but sometimes knowing too much too soon is what he didn't want us to partake of. Because it says if you find out stuff before you know how to handle it, it will mess you up. That's what he was saying. I don't want you to have access before you have access. You're not ready for that just yet. Have you ever had someone, a parent or somebody tell you that you're not ready for that just yet? And that's what God was basically saying. And not that I don't think great of you. I just think so great of you that there's some things you're not ready for. So he goes on, and from that place, we got kicked out of the garden, got kicked out of that type of fellowship, and from that place on, we kept going into what we call performance, where we were trying to get back in right standing with God. In order to get back in right standing with God, everyone was starting to provide sacrifices, and because there would be no sacrifice, or there could not be an offering accepted without there being a sacrifice. Something had to die. So that's what the entire Old Testament is about, is everybody trying to do right, messing up, trying to do right again, and offering up a sacrifice. In the book of Exodus, we find that there were some people by the name of, there were Israelites, which are God's chosen people. And the Israelites were basically delivered from Egypt, bondage, but Egypt wasn't delivered out of them. We identify with that. We get delivered from things, and sometimes the action might have been delivered from us, but the mind associated with the action has not been delivered just yet. Anybody can attest to that? So that's basically what the Israelites were. They had transitioned out of some things, but the habits and the ways had not transitioned out of them. So God led Moses to establish some rules so that they might be able to have a relationship with God, so God would not kill them. You have to understand, I know we know a loving, kind, just God, but God also doesn't play games. He's not just some guy's like, oh, I just love you, I love you. He's, I love you, but I also want you to do better. And that's what was in the Old Testament, that he loved the people, but they kept testing him. So much so that even one time, a few times, God threatened to kill them and to destroy them and to wipe them off the face of the earth. But Moses went ahead of them and prayed and interceded and said, don't kill them. Give them another chance. And sometimes you should thank the Lord for people who pray for you and cover you. Come on, somebody like people like, no, they don't know. They don't know any good, you know. And that's basically what Moses was doing. And Moses went up on a Mount Sinai. And on that mountain of Mount Sinai, the Lord gave him some instructions, of which we call the 10 Commandments. But the 10 Commandments were not just the only commandments. There were many of them, many laws of which they had to abide by. And when they did not abide by that, they were not in right standing with God. Basically, when they didn't follow the rules, God didn't want to deal with them. So here in Exodus, we find in Exodus, the 19th chapter, it says, now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasured possession among all people, for all the earth is mine. Now, what I don't want you to miss is, it says, now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice. That was conditional. So basically, for our first part of our relationship with God, it was based on conditions. If we did right, God would now call us his treasured people. But if we did not obey, then certain things started to happen. And it was punished. The law, if you did not follow the law, was punishable by death. Class, are y'all with me? I want to make sure everybody understands that if you did not obey the law, it was punishable by death. I want you to understand this. Say it one more time. If you didn't obey the law, it was punishable by what? Death. Not by just saying, I'm sorry, you died. That's the Old Testament. That's why we're scared of it. Mufasa. Ooh. It's the Old Testament. It was punishable by death. So much so, if we look at the scripture in Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14, and the message notes are there for you to watch, look at it when you get a chance. But in Deuteronomy 28 through 14, it says the first 14 verses are talking about if you do this, these blessings will come upon you. You do this, you'll be blessed in this. You will do this. Then it goes on about 20 verses or 20 or 30 verses, 15 through 68, that says, but these curses shall follow you if you disobey. There are sometimes, especially in the Old Testament, and then sometimes even in life, and I hate to say this, but it's just really honest, sometimes we have welcomed things into our life. Because the scripture says, if you obey, these things will come upon you. But if you disobey, sometimes you welcome things in that should not be there. So who's to blame? So here in this thing, he says, if you disobey, then you get cut away from some of these blessings. It goes on and says that even at that time, if you didn't obey, you weren't just dealt with eventually, you were dealt with immediately. Some of us grew up and we had parents that when you got in trouble, you would get dealt with eventually. Sometimes, maybe not your parents, but my parents, sometimes they would go a week without saying anything about it. And I thought they had forgotten. Anybody have parents like that? Maybe not. New age, y'all don't have no parents like that. Everybody's like, oh, just go sit in the corner. I have no corner to sit in. I wish I had one. Use your words. I have no words. But anyhow, but I remember times I was like, oh, they must have forgotten about, that. They forgot about my bad grades. They forgot about me not bringing my midterm home. They forgot about that stuff. And then one day, having the best sleep of my life, and this cold breeze would hit me in the middle of the night. I was like, it's cold. Before I could say it was cold, all of a sudden, wrath, the wrath of God in the form of my parents. And it seemed like the more they talked, the more angry they became. See, some of y'all don't understand that y'all are new age, y'all got therapy and stuff like that. But it seems like the parents are like, if you ever do that again, I'm telling you, shut up, be quiet. See, I'll give you something. I tell you, you make me look like that again, I will go down that school and tell I'll whoop your principal. I mean, all. And you crying, yes, ma'am, shut up before I give you something else to cry about. I guess I had some other people who grew up like that as well. You see, if the trauma is still on me, but I can just bring it up anytime I get nervous. Somebody say, "What?" I'm like, "What? No, sorry." But but that was punishment eventually. But God did not do eventual; He did immediate. When you messed up, you were immediately dealt with. There was some people by the name of Nadab and Abihu in Leviticus, the 10th chapter, where they offered up what was known as strange fire. God knew how offerings should be lifted up, and they didn't offer it up right. And he called it strange because it was not accepted, and they died immediately. There was a guy by the name of Uzzah who they were trying to bring the presence of God back into the city because it had been taken by the Philistines. And they put this, what they call the Ark of the Covenant, on a cart. The cart was new. God didn't require it to be new. He just required his presence back into their lives. And they tried to do all these new things. And it says that the cart stumbled, the oxen stumbled, and this guy named Uzzah reached out to touch the presence or touch the Ark of God. And God killed him right there on the spot, to say, you don't handle me any type of way. That was the dispensation of the law and how God used to operate with people. That's why they had judges, Samuel and Samson, and all these people were, Deborah. These people were there to make sure they were the go-between between God and people, because God couldn't always deal with them because of how they tested him. So we ask ourselves, well, what was the purpose of the law then? If we could never measure up to it, why did they ever have the law? Well, Galatians, the 3rd chapter, verse 24 says this. He says, so then the law was our guardian. King James Version says the law was our tutor. Have you ever had a tutor before when you didn't know a subject? So you had to have someone to teach you the subject at hand. Some people were too proud to ask for help. But some of us needed help, and we wouldn't. If we didn't ask for it, our parents arranged it. So it says, "So then the law was our tutor, our guardian, until Christ came, in order that we might be justified by faith." The word justified is a word of which we all need to know. It's the word that comes from the word justification. Justification is like word sanctification. Let me give you those two definitions real quick before I lose y'all. Justification is to say is as if I have been made right by my belief. I couldn't be right on my own, but I have been made right. I am justified by faith. Faith made me right. Let's say that together. Faith made me right. Class, I want you to understand that faith, not me, not anything I did. I'm justified by faith. Sanctification is not something that's ascribed to holiness churches. Sanctification is how he has set me apart for a work. He set me apart even when I couldn't set myself apart. He set me apart. God set me apart. Jeremiah 1 verse 5 or so, it says that when you were in your mother's womb, I sanctified you. I set you apart before you came apart. I set you apart. Before I let anybody pull you apart, I set you apart. Can we thank the Lord that he set you apart? Like there's something special about you, and it's not you who chose it, but he says, so now the law was our guardian. Now to make it make more sense, our guardian is basically saying the law revealed to you what you couldn't do. The law, in other words, showed you about yourself. Made you feel bad. That's what the law did. The law, all it did was reveal you, but it couldn't do anything to help you. It's like going to a doctor's office, you fall from a tree, you have a car accident or anything, or had a whatever, and you go to the doctor's office, and the first thing they do is they want to assess the damage. So they take you into a room where they give you certain types of things that you drink for them to be able to see clearly what's going on. And when they see this, a nasty thing you drink. Anybody ever drink that? It's just so nasty. But it helps them to see clearly, and when they see that, they pull up something called an x-ray. And then they bring that x-ray back to you, and then they say, hey, that's where you're broken. You got a fracture right there or whatever. And we're going to have to we're going to do this. We're going to do surgery, or we're going to put whatever on to make sure you are healed. Now, the thing is, the x-ray only revealed the pain, revealed what was broken, but it did not give you a plan to fix it. All the x-ray did was reveal what was going on, but you had to have a doctor to say, now this is what's going to happen. The Old Testament is just an x-ray of how bad we were. Jesus came and said, let me do something about what you saw. Come on. Jesus said, I saw how broken you were, but I also realized you couldn't help yourself. If we could be really honest, none of us in this room could deliver ourselves. None of us in this room could get over things ourselves. We needed a Savior. We needed Jesus. He says the x-ray revealed you, but I came to heal you. That's why we thank the Lord for Jesus, because on the Old Testament, yes, we should read it. Yes, we should know it. It's history. We should know our history, because if you don't know your history, you will repeat it. So you need to know history, because if you don't know your history, you repeat it, and you'll do stuff you're not supposed to do. You'll start, some people right now are upset because there's a particular structure in the South that got burned down. But the rest of us are not sad about it at all, because when you know your history, giants fall. So sometimes that's what happens, but you have to know your history. Someone say, know your history. Some of y'all will get that by Thursday. I'm sorry. But here it is. But you have to understand that if you're not careful about the things of the law was good for the sakes of revealing. However, it became bad when it came to the sense of using the law to control or to drive, to make sure that it was rule-driven religion. Now, I want to sweep around this before I give you the scripture. Religion is not bad. Rule-driven religion is bad. Say it one more time. Religion is not bad. For those who be like, I'm not religious. Yes, you are. How do we know that? Because your closet looks the way it does, because you have religiously thrown stuff in there. Let me give you a better word. Religious means habitual. Anything you habitually do becomes your religion. Some of your clothes look better than your room. because you habitually rush over things, or you know you're supposed to be somewhere at 11 o'clock, you habitually, religiously leave at 10:50. I feel like this is hitting some people, resonating in a way you don't like it. You know, you know that summer is coming, and it is May, and you're talking about having a summer body. You have religiously, habitually created intake that does not support your outcome. Is this helping anybody? So to be honest, everybody in here is religious to a default. Come on, am I the only one? Yes. I plan to come out with a Preacher's Edition summer body calendar, but it ain't happening this year. All of us are religious to a degree, yet when it becomes rule-based, when it comes to rule-based in church and in our life of growing in Christ, it hinders people, because then it becomes, if you don't wear these clothes, then you're not right. If you don't speak in this language, you're not right. If you don't go to this church, you're not right. If you don't baptize in this name, you're not right. Come on. Those are rule-based, which basically anytime your religion becomes your set of beliefs, then it becomes your denomination. When your beliefs become your beliefs, your rituals, your religion becomes your set of beliefs, it becomes your denomination, by which the denomination really means divided. So you only deal with people who believe like you. Now it has become religious experience. Is this helping anybody today? It's not that any are wrong, but it does define how far you believe. So when you say sometimes according to your religious experience, you're also saying God stopped speaking here. So for those people who have issues with women in ministry, gifts of the Spirit, all that type of stuff, you believe, some people say, all that's Old Testament, all that stuff's Bible days. Who says that? How can you limit God according to your experience? Come on, prophet. He said God could only speak to certain things. God said, well, what about this donkey? I'll speak through anything that's available. Matthew, the 23rd chapter, verse 1 through 4 says, then Jesus said to the crowds and his disciples, the scribes and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. So do and observe whatever they tell you, but not the works they do. For they preach, but do not practice. They tie up heavy burdens, hard to bear, lay them on people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to move them with their finger. That sit on Moses' seat is basically saying they know the law, so they sit in that seat to judge you for not measuring up to the law. Anybody know anyone like that who just will remind you that you're wrong, you haven't done anything right? When's the last time you've been to church? When's the last time you came to church? You busting hell's doors open. You know, all those types of things. To sit in the seat of judgment. All of us have heard different things like that. To sit in the seat of judgment. He says, and that's not what God has called you to do. He says, because my point I have for you here today is this, that you can sit in the seat, keep all the rules, and still miss God. You can bust church doors open every single Sunday. Give till you can't give no more. Serve in every capacity, in every area, all those types of things. Have all titles and have all degrees and all those types of things. But you're sitting in a seat, but you're not sitting in a seat of relationship. You're sitting in a seat of religion to judge people for not measuring up to who you are. And you can sit there and still miss the total essence of who God is. Matthew 5:17 says this. Preach, Mario. He says, do not think I have come to remove the law. He said, but I came to fulfill them. The law's important, but I also realize that on your best day, you can never measure up to it. On your best day, you would never measure up to it. On my best day, I don't measure up to it. I try to. Anybody like me, you try? I try not to do wrong. I try not to think wrong. Try to do right. But every once in a while, I need Jesus. Not a little, I mean the big Jesus. To handle the different things that I have. So the law demanded that we die. But grace came that we might live. So here it is that here we moved. The Old Testament is action-based. But now we move into access. Someone said, I got access. What is access? Access is a means of approaching or entering a place. John, 1st chapter 16, 17. Now I'm here. It says, out of his fullness, we have all received grace. All of us in this room. Everybody is recipient of grace. Maybe you needed to be reminded of that. You are a recipient of God's grace. Lay your hands on yourself. Say, I got God's grace. All of us, everybody in this room, you don't have to wait to get it. You got it. We are under the, how do I know we're under grace? Because you should have been dead by now. I don't have to go into tongues to even think about that. I don't have to fast to think about that. I ain't got to read Matthew through the Revelation to believe that. Just looking at myself, should have been dead by now. Come on, y'all. Like whatever it was, anything. I'm not just talking. I'm not even just talking about actions. I'm talking about whatever it is. Could car wrecks, airplanes, whatever. Anything should have killed. But grace is what has kept you. Come on. Can anybody just take a moment? It is grace. There's nothing I did. Out of his fullness, we have all received grace in place of grace. Already given. And I want to unpack that a little bit more. Grace in place of grace, Ronald. And it is what it means is this. Grace in place of grace is this. So I gave you a government name. I'm sorry, Ron. Grace in place of grace. Somebody said, he said his whole name, yes. Grace in place of grace is this. Grace in place, Don Trees, because you're educated. Grace in place of grace means one stepped in the other place, or one removed the other thing. Because when you put something in place of the other, you're replacing the other. But it's interesting because it says what replaced one was the other thing that started it. It's the same thing. Grace in place of grace. Not grace and mercy. Not grace and strength. Not grace and peace, but grace in place of grace. In other words, once my grace ran out for Sunday, grace rolled over into Monday. Y'all miss it. Before I needed it, it was already there. Before I could ask for it, it had already rolled over. Some of you are old enough to remember, Brother Jackson, you remember rollover plans. Some of y'all old enough to remember that. When you have rollover plans on your phone, some of y'all don't remember that because he don't remember that. Rollover plans is that you used to get a plan that your free minutes started at a certain time. And if you didn't use your free minutes all the way for the month, it will roll over into the next month. Can you thank the Lord that even when you didn't use all the grace you needed for January or for February or for March or all the grace you need for Saturday, that there's enough grace to roll over to the next? And the thing is, we used to have to pay for that plan, but I ain't got to pay for this grace. It keeps on rolling over. Tell somebody it just rolls over. I don't have to worry about asking for tomorrow because there's already grace for my tomorrow. I don't have to be nervous about Monday. I don't have to be nervous about Tuesday. I don't have to be nervous about what the government is trying to do. I don't have to be nervous about what's going on in all these different places. There is grace for me for every day I step into. Don't be nervous about it. Grace will roll over into it. Tell somebody I got grace for every day and bright hope for every tomorrow. Every blessings are all mine with 10,000 behind. Whatever I need, someone say, great is his faithfulness. He's so faithful that he rolls over. Every sin keeps on rolling and rolling and rolling. I got to roll over grace. Tiffany, I'm trying to preach this thing. Grace. And this is the thing I love. I only got a few more minutes. Grace, in our church culture, we use this term. Grace is unmerited favor. Thank God for his unmerited favor. And half of us grew up not knowing what unmerited favor was. Come on, am I the only one in this church? Y'all don't make, y'all like, I knew what it was. You should have got deep like me, child, please. I did not know what unmerited favor was. Thank you. Me and you, us never part, Mackie Dada. Thank you. But I want to explain to you in its simplest terms what grace is. Grace is simply access. It's just access. That's all it is. It's access into what I don't even deserve. It's access into places I should. We just think it's just favor. It's not just favor for cars and houses and for jobs. It's access. Like, we should not be where we are right now. But because of his access, he gave me unlimited access into places I would have never been. But the law is action-based. The law basically is acceptance earned by what I do. But grace is access-based. It is acceptance granted because of what Christ did. Say it again. The law makes me feel good about what I did. It puffs me up. Like, it's been 10 days since I did that. I hadn't smoked. I hadn't drank. Congratulations. The rest of y'all, with your little buzz you got right now sitting here, welcome to grace. If I was high, I'd be shouting right now. I'm like, brother, man, won't he lift you high? Come on. Y'all trying to sit here like, I ain't never smoked. You lie. You a cheat. Stop. All of us got something. It might not be that, and I'm not promoting it. I'm saying all of us got something. But I'm saying to you, and I was talking to a brother in between services because he said he deals with that, where when you've done wrong, you feel like you don't deserve. And there are a lot of you in this room like that, who the blessings God keeps giving you, you're in a spot that you're like, I don't deserve this. I shouldn't have it. Because some of you, to be quite honest, some of y'all want to feel bad about yourselves. It's like God loving you, but you refuse to accept his love. It's like God forgiving you, but you refuse. You're like, but I did it. He's like, I know. I should be punished before it, but you're not. I deserve all this, but you don't. It's like having a relationship with God's grace all the time. He's like, I'm giving you another chance, but I don't deserve another chance. What does it look like? And God keeps waking you up every day like, I should have died last night, but you didn't. And with the grace you have, you won't even praise him for it. He knows what you did last summer. He's got 4 movies about it. Knows all about it. However, he keeps giving you a new chance. You have access. Someone said, I got access. I hope this is helping you. I really do. Because it's saying this. We don't work for grace, but from grace. Does that help you? We don't work for grace. Like, I got to work for this. I don't have to work for this. But I work because I got this. I did nothing to get it, but because I got it, I do everything I can because I'm grateful for what I have. I didn't save myself, but because I'm saved, I do give God glory. I didn't wake myself up, but because he woke me up, I will give him glory. I didn't heal myself, but since he healed me, I will lift my hands and give him glory. I didn't deliver myself, but since he delivered me, I will give him glory. Come on, it's not, I didn't work for it, but because I have it, thank you. I did nothing. I don't know who this is helping. Nobody in this room deserves what you have. Nobody, including the person with the microphone. Nobody. That's what the Pharisees did, try to put themselves in these lofty places, only to find out that they were just as human as you are. All of us received. All of us need grace. Somebody say, I got it. That's why Hebrews, the 4th chapter, verse 16 says this. Let us then with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we might receive mercy and find grace to help when in the time of need. Anybody need them? There's grace for what you need. Every time, that's what I love. Every time I need him, he's there. So let me therefore draw to the throne of grace, go to the throne of grace with confidence. In other words, I'm not arrogant, but I'm confident. Now, let me sweep around that. What I mean is, you're like, oh, he's up there preaching like he knows. I do. Many things about tomorrow I don't understand, but I'm confident. I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds my hand. I am confident. Amazing grace. How sweet the sound. I'm confident that it saved a wretch like me. I am confident that I once was lost, but now I'm found. I am confident that I once was blind, but now I see. Is there anybody else that's confident? I am confident that some trust in horses, some trust in chariots, but I will remember the name of the Lord God. I am confident that if I delight myself in the Lord, that he will give me the desires of my heart. I am confident that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I am confident that even when I don't know what to pray, the Spirit himself who intercedes with me with groanings that cannot be uttered. I'm not arrogant, but I am confident that I do know that all things work together for the good of them who love God and are called according to his purpose. I am not arrogant, but I am confident that no weapon formed against me shall prosper, and every tongue that rises up against me shall be utterly cast down and destroyed. I am confident, Brother Russie, that I have been young, but now I'm getting older, but I have never seen the righteous forsaken or his seed begging bread. Will you high five somebody and say, I never seen it? I'm confident of that. That's why I pray, because I'm confident. That's why I worship, because I'm confident. That's why I go to church, because I know when I need him, he's going to be there. I am confident that when I call upon God, he will answer. I am confident that no matter what I do, no matter how many times I do it, grace steps in. For I know, I don't know it myself, but I know who does know. He knows the plans that he has for me. Somebody say, I know who knows. And I'm confident in that. I didn't mean to do that. I'm confident in that. And for those who may need it a little bit better, a little bit more hood, let me make it like this. Because some of y'all don't shout on church stuff. Some of y'all need a little drip. So for those of y'all who ever been to any party, those of you who ever been to any event, when you dress up, because you know I didn't learn until late in life, Tiffany, that when you go to a party or something, you don't go till it's late. I didn't know, because I've just been in church all my life. I'm sitting around waiting for everybody to get to the party, and you got to take a nap before you stay up all night. Come on, Nick, come on. Y'all act like, shout. Come on. Rachel, you know you've been there. Come on. You got to take a nap before you go. And the later it gets, you say it's just about time. Now, if you're with a group of ladies, they say we got to go at a certain time because the ladies get in free for a certain time frame. Anybody get a witness in here? Don't raise your hand too high. I might think it's you. But the ladies get in free. But all the men have to pay. And it's so sad when you take a lady, they get it free, but you got to pay. But that's what the law does. When you show up for life, the law says you got to pay to live. The law says you got to pay to have joy. The law says you got to pay to have peace, because the wages, the payment of sin is death. Imagine yourself at the shack or at the juke joint or at the club of your choice. And that club, that juke joint, that place represents access into your future. But in order for you to get in it, you got to have a payment. And can you imagine looking at your account and it says insufficient funds? The law condemns you for what you don't have. But can you imagine getting ready to walk away? And all of a sudden, he ain't a pimp, but he is a pusher. Can you imagine Jesus stepping in front of you and saying, all of these behind me belong to me? Look at somebody and say, I belong to Jesus. I'm with the Jesus party. I'm with them. Wherever grace is going, that's where I'm going. Wherever goodness is going, that's where I'm going. Tell somebody, turn down for what? But this is another thing, April, that grace does. That grace doesn't just give you access. But for those of you who went in debt to get Beyonce's tickets, oh, I got my boots on the ground. All of you who went just to get access to someone you never meet, to be entertained by somebody who don't even know you, to take pictures of everything but the person you went to see. Don't push me to the edge. About to lose. I'm just saying. So here it is. You doing, y'all making me more hood the more longer I pass. Well, I did get my hood yesterday. I'm more hood today than I was yesterday. Come on here. All right, Miles, you can go. Don't disown me, Miles. Don't disown me. All right. I'm sorry, y'all. Bianca, get me out of here. Get my children out of here. All right. So you go to the concert, pay the admission fee, and you never meet the person. But that's not what grace does. Grace said, I don't just get you in. I put a lanyard on you and give you backstage access. So you get in the backstage and people say, how'd you get back here? Jesus. How you got this joy? Jesus. How you had lost your mind? Jesus. How you not committed suicide? Jesus. How you not have an STD? Jesus. How you not giving up? Jesus. How you keep holding on? Jesus. Tell somebody, Jesus name. I got backstage access. Don't let her praise by herself. She ain't the only person who got backstage access. People look at you. How'd you get this job? Jesus. How'd you walk across that stage? Jesus. I thought you didn't have money for that house. Jesus. I thought you didn't have money for that car. Jesus. How somebody like you have what you have? Jesus. How about somebody say, Jesus? Every knee will bow. Every tongue will confess that Jesus. It ain't none of me, but it is Jesus. Everybody stand to your feet. Everybody stand. It is only, I know that might not be deep enough for some of y'all, but the devil should have killed me when he had a chance. Because now that I done broke loose and I realized that it was Jesus, you can't hold me down. Every room I walk in, I belong to be in that room. Every door I open, I belong in that door. But somebody say, you didn't have the pedigree. I didn't have the pedigree, but I had his blood. I had his blood. And it reaches to the highest mountain. And it flows to the lowest valley. That same blood gives me strength and a backstage pass. Somebody say, it's the blood. So, because of that, I'm sorry. Have you ever just had a flashback of what you would be without his grace? I mean, I know some of y'all struggled, but have you imagined struggling without Jesus? Have you imagined struggling without help? But to take just a moment, just for a few seconds, and give God praise that it was grace. It was grace for you, grace for me, grace for everybody who needed it. Through many dangers, toils and snares, I have already come. Trust grace that brought me safe thus far. And it's only that same grace that's going to keep on leading me.